Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. This is advice on how to negotiate compensation if you're an employee. While it's mainly aimed at the people who are currently employed, it also has a lot of applicability for people who are job seekers who've just been offered a job. Negotiation is fraught, especially for the employee. After all, the employer probably has negotiated many times more than you have and may even have been trained in it. All right, well, here's some training for you. I've written a number of articles on the subject. This video distills my best advice into one, I'm guessing about a 10-minute video. Should you ask? These questions should help you decide if you should ask for a raise. Are you an above average performer compared with your coworkers? Does your boss like you? How easy would it be to find a position elsewhere that overall is better than your current one, even assuming your current employer gives you a modest pay raise? How essential is your presence to your organization? Do you sense that there is enough money in your boss's budget to give you a raise? If your organization is going out of business or your boss is doing lots of belt tightening in your work group, your odds aren't great. Would it be tough for your employer to find someone at your current salary who could replace you? If you got a significant raise, would you thereby become expensive compared with coworkers and therefore be more likely to get laid off? And the catch-all question, does your intuition tell you that overall, considering all those questions that I just mentioned, that overall net, that the benefits of asking will likely outweigh the risks? Important. There is a right and wrong time to ask. Now, the best time is normally at your regular performance review, so it's not like you're sticking out. But if that isn't going to happen anytime soon, the best time is usually right after you've done something well on a project, you've taken on an extra responsibility, or your boss has praised you. Okay, so now you assume that you're about to, you want to make that request for a salary increase. Here's how you might prepare. It has often been said, and for good reason, that negotiations are won or lost mainly before the negotiation itself, and preparation is indeed key. First, might you get some other interest? There's nothing that helps your confidence and your bargaining position like interest from another employer. Even if you intend to stay put out feelers. If you get any nibbles, you can legitimately tell your boss, I'm happy here, but another organization has expressed interest in me. No risk reduction. There is some risk in that, by the way. Sometimes, these employers, even though they'll let you go easily, they won't be loyal to you. They expect you to be loyal to them. And if you're looking elsewhere or there's other interest, they may either fire you or simply not put you on the fast track for training opportunities and growth. Know your risk reduction tactics. There are ways to reduce your risk. Many people fear that if they ask for a raise, they're going to get a response from the boss like, you're already too expensive. I think we need to let you go. Well, you can counter such fear by knowing ways to reduce the risk. Here are 3 examples. 1, use a positive tone. For example, I'm confident we'll come up with something we both feel okay about. And try to get the employer to make the first offer and listen carefully for cues that offer is final. You might ask, it's a little low risk way to do it. How firm is the offer? Use this rule of thumb. Reject the first offer, accept the second. Anything you might get beyond the second offer may be too little to justify the risk. It's only a rule of thumb, but it's worked with my clients. Keep a log of your contributions. For example, how you saved your organization money or boosted sales, how you decreased hassle or stress on a project, how you showed leadership under pressure, times that you went above and beyond, a recent upgrade to your job responsibilities, recently completed training or a degree. Your goal is to end up with 5 to 10 bullets that make your case, maybe including laudatory notes from higher-ups, clients, or colleagues. Next, try to get comparable salary information. You might first try coworkers inside your organization and colleagues outside it. Maybe your friends, alumni, LinkedIn connections. Also, you might check out the salary surveys on Glassdoor.com and also Salary.com and Payscale.com. Your goal is to create a list of comparable salaries, adjusting them to fit your situation. And at the bottom of the page, state what would be fair compensation, or try to justify 10 or 15% above fair. Everyone needs to feel they've gotten a win. So if you make your request a bit high, it allows the boss to feel like they're getting a good deal if they get you to accept a 10% or 15% lower offer. Consider proposing an upgraded job description. Even if your job title remains the same, higher level work justifies higher level compensation. For example, might you offer to supervise more people or write a grant proposal? Another example of preparation is to get clear on your negotiation's highest realistic goal, your expected goal, and the least you'd accept. Don't focus only on cash compensation, because that, unlike benefits and perks, are taxed, and taxed at your highest rate, and gives the employer nothing in exchange. Instead, you might want to prioritize such items as a job description that's tweaked to accentuate your strengths or simply be more fun for you, or whom to report to, or a title change, or part-time telecommuting, flex time, fully employer-paid health care, deferred compensation like stock options, tuition reimbursement, a training budget, a week at a professional conference in, let's say, Hawaii, or more vacation days. But think twice about pushing hard on that one. It's another of those items that yields nothing for the employer. It is dangerous to try to negotiate too many items. And of course, every situation is different, but a rule of thumb is to negotiate salary plus 2 or 3 other items. Prepare counters to no. For example, you might anticipate your boss says, "You're a good employee, but our budget is tight, so I can't give you a raise." You could respond by asking for some of the non-cash items above, or request a bonus if you achieve some goal, or explain how, moving forward, you're likely to make increased contribution to the organization's bottom line. Or get your boss at least to commit to a salary review in 2-3 months. Here we get to some psychological preparation. Put yourself in your boss's shoes. Ask yourself, would this tactic work on this boss? Also, taking your boss's perspective may help you stay calm if the boss is tough in the negotiation. For example, the boss's salary may depend on staying within budget. Or he or she may worry that if you get a raise, all your peers will want one, which would be unaffordable, or force the boss to tell some people they don't deserve a raise, which could hurt morale. I even know a boss who makes less than his supervisees. In such a situation, the boss is unlikely to be sympathetic to your request for a raise. It's important to prepare yourself to stay calm. It's easier said than done. But in advance, rehearse staying calm in response to a low offer or a dismissive response. That could just be a tactic to intimidate you. That's just how some people have been taught to negotiate. It may help to role play with a friend who plays a tough but realistic version of your boss. Stay focused on the issues. My rule of thumb is be easy on the person, harder on the issues. If you can't stay calm, remind yourself that you can say that you need to use the restroom, or even you can postpone the conversation for another day. Get an in-person appointment. Now, so preparation complete, email your boss a request for an in-person, not email or even phone if possible, compensation review. Include your list of accomplishments and comparable salaries. Now we get to the ask. Here's how to make the most of all that preparation. Moderate your demeanor. Be friendly, but not too friendly. That could feel like a ploy or make the boss think you're a softie who will take a lowball offer. First steps, start by, generally, everything is different, every situation is different, but start by listening to the boss's response to your lists of comparable salaries and your accomplishments. Unless it's clear that the offer is generous, you might ask, how'd you arrive at that? Or use what I call the pained pause, P-A-I-N-E-D. Sometimes just being silent in response to a bad offer can yield a higher offer without you having to be argumentative. Those few seconds may end up the highest per hour pay you'll ever receive. You might mention other interest with tact. If there's been other interest in hiring you, you can mention that without appearing too disloyal, even though your employer probably won't let employee loyalty stand in the way of replacing you if it was deemed in the organization's interest. For example, you might say, I'm flattered that another employer has expressed some interest in me. I don't want to jump at it because I enjoy working for you, but I'm concerned that, per the chart I showed you, I'm about 20% underpaid. And there's even more I could do for you with the revision of my job description. What do you think? I need to say that negotiation advisor Seth Freeman, who I sent a draft of this to, warns that mentioning other interest in you does increase the risk that your employer is going to look to replace you. Deflect impasse. If you reach impasse on salary, rather than letting that stall things, say something like, how about we put salary aside for the moment and discuss another issue that may be easier to agree on? Maintain perspective. Please be careful to not get emotionally caught up in the fray. I know it hurts to hear a no, let alone a hardball no. It may help to, as I mentioned earlier, put yourself in the boss's shoes and recognize that there may be reasons having nothing to do with you for why the boss says no. Also, remember that the after-tax benefit to your lifestyle may not be worth alienating the boss, creating heightened expectations for you, or even increasing the risk that in a layoff, you, who seems expensive, is more likely to be on a chopping block. Don't let your ego get in the way. If you're feeling you're getting upset and it's showing it won't help your case, sometimes it does, see if you can muster the restraint to not blow up nor cave, but rather kind of monotonically state, I understand your position. I need to use the restroom. That can give you both cooling off time, both of you, and make the boss feel, without you having to confront him, insecure about his or her inadequate offer. And again, I want to reiterate that you may want to accept that second offer. Reject the first, accept the second. Any more that you get after the second offer can sometimes impose too big a risk, heightened expectations, being expensive compared with your peers, even termination. Okay, what if you've gotten turned down cold? And especially if that's occurred on most previous occasions, you might have some thinking to do. Am I as good as I think I am? If so, maybe it's time to look for an employer who's willing to pay you what you deserve. I'm Marty Nimko.